This is a teaching of Hebrew Shalom Ministries, the Alef Bet series, Part 7, the letter Zayin. Shalom, shalom. Welcome to the Hebrew Alef Bet series. This is Part 7, the Hebrew letter Zayin. This is what the Hebrew letter Zayin looks like. It's very similar to the letter Vav, but as you notice on the upper right hand, there's a little notch that sticks out there. This is how I would draw the letter Zayin. Draw a vertical line, and then I draw the top half at a slant. A little almost horizontal, but at a slant, and it overhangs on both sides of the vertical line. There's your letter Zayin. The first aspect of each Hebrew letter is the sound of the Hebrew letter. The sound of the letter Zayin is the Z sound, or if you're in Canada, the Z sound, the Z. The second aspect of each Hebrew letter is the numerical value of the letter. The Hebrew letter Zayin is a numerical value of 7. The numerical values of each letter start with the Aleph, which is a numerical value of 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3, Dalet is 4, Hey is 5, Vav is 6, and Zayin is 7. Now that we've covered several Hebrew letters, it might be useful to practice Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin. Perhaps practice that every day. The third aspect of each Hebrew letter is that each Hebrew letter is also a Hebrew word. Here is what the Hebrew letter Zayin looks like when it's written out. You see the Zayin in the beginning there with the Kamatz vowel underneath. The rest you haven't learned yet. Zayin is spelled out with 3 consonant letters, Zayin, Yod, and a final Nun, the letter Nun. The root of the word from the letter Zayin is used to form several different words even in the scripture. So let's go over them and see if we can tie it all together and make sense out of it. One principle to know about the Hebrew is that when we find anomalies, things that make us ask questions, that's intentional. God does that intentionally to draw us in to ask questions. He's trying to communicate something to us. My first example is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 8. The word fed in this verse comes from the word Zayin. In this verse, we see this root word conjugated meyazanim. The Z-A-N, the zan, is the root there. In modern Hebrew, the word mazon means food or sustenance, whereas the verb form, the word zun, means to feed. Also in modern Hebrew, the word hazanah means nourishment. In Daniel chapter 4, verse 12, near the end of the verse, we see the word fed again. This time it's Yitzayin, which is translated as fed. But the word Zayin also means sword. Lezayin means to arm for war. In the Hebrew, the root is a concept, and it manifests or functions in several different ways, so one has to find the connection. What is the root concept? What ties it all together? Let's look at another scripture. Deuteronomy 23:13 says, "You shall attach a paddle upon thy weapon." The word weapon here is zen, which comes from the same root zan. Here it's used as a shovel. Here in Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 5, we see garzen, which is an axe. Here the root for Zayin is paired with a garzel, which is an axe head. So what we have here is a multi-purpose tool consisting of the long, straight, sharp vav, but a long one, not a short one. And then by attaching things, to this Vav, we get various tools, which takes me into the fourth aspect of Hebrew letters, which is their paleo picture or pictograph and or their shape. In the case of the shape, the Zayin is a Vav with an attachment on it. In the Paleo Hebrew, the Zayin is a picture of a plow used to plow the ground. An interesting application of this is the pictographic meaning of the Hebrew word for ear is a strong tool or plow for the seed. The word ear is spelled Aleph, Zayin, Nun. Aleph is strength, Zayin is the tool, and Nun is the seed. In Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 1, which opens with the Hebrew word ha'azinu, which is one of the weekly portions, by the way, if you research it out, you'll find that the ha'azinu is the root word azan conjugated. This is one of the Hebrew words for listen, related to the word ear, and it means to prepare the soil for the seed. That's the pictographic meaning of it. In this year of the pay that we're in, the word pay occurs in the verse, in the word mouth, but also in the word speak and hear. We have pay, and then we have the other side of pay, we have hear. God's given a command to the heavens and the earth to listen. It means to prepare the ear, to pay close attention. A strong tool or plow to prepare for receiving the spoken word. The letter Zayin represents a multi-purpose tool, a strong and sharp tool with attachments for use in everyday life. All the Hebrew letters are rooted in everyday surroundings. We have Aleph, an ox, Bet, a house, Gimel, a camel, Dalet, a door, Hey, perhaps a window, and Vav, a nail, and Zayin, a tool, perhaps a large Vav with attachments. I like to call the letter Zayin the Swiss Army knife of ancient times, the all-purpose tool. I'd like to conclude this video with something about the letter Zayin hidden in the Hebrew. Here's a picture of the word Zakar, which means remember, from Malachi 4:4. The letter Zayin is intentionally double-sized in the picture. One of the mysteries that God hides in the Hebrew scripture is double-sized and half-sized letters, not to mention backwards letters and other anomalies, but especially double-sized and half-sized letters. These are intentional, placed there to communicate hints at mysteries in the scripture. This is done with all the Hebrew letters, and sometimes they're at the beginning of a word, at the end of a word, in the middle of the word. They're interspersed throughout the scripture. In the case of the double-sized Zayin and Zakar, Zikru, the word remember in Malachi 4:4, it's at the beginning of the word. The enlarged Zayin in Malachi points to spiritual warfare and also spiritual provision. We use this strong tool in double measure, both as a plow and as a sword for spiritual warfare and for sowing seed. If we double down on Zakar and everything that Hebrew word means with regards to keeping Torah, then it's like a plow and a sword doing work in the Spirit. Shalom, shalom. This concludes Part 7 of the Hebrew Alef Bet series, the letter Zayin. Liatrot. This has been a teaching of Hebrew Shalom Ministries. Shalom, shalom.